Hello everyone, my name is Brett. I'm a writer and an artist, and I create worlds and stories. And I wanted to do this review and tutorial on a program that I really like called Otherworld Mapper. I see a lot of other world builders using other map making software, and I don't see a whole lot of people using this particular one, which I think is a mistake. So in this video, I'm just going to review the product and kind of compare it to some of the other map making software. I've used most of the other major map making software like WonderDraft, Campaign Cartographer, Fractal Mapper, Inkarnate, etc. But I do think that probably out of all of them, this is one of the best map making software, especially for beginners. And once again, I just don't see many people using it. So as I'm comparing it to other products, I'm also going to be talking about some of the major advantages to this software, but also some of the disadvantages, so you can just know what you are purchasing and what you will be getting with this product. And I'll also, after that, just be doing a little bit of a basic tutorial on how to start using this program and how to start building your worlds. One reason I wanted to do this also, there's some really great tutorials on YouTube about how to use this software from the creators of this software, but I did not see a whole lot of other tutorials other than that. So I just wanted to go ahead and do my part and bring my own tutorial to this product as well. So the first thing is that unlike Inkarnate, this program does not require a yearly or monthly subscription, which is nice. I do not use programs that require subscriptions, with some minor exceptions. I do think about frequently making an exception for Inkarnate because they have a yearly fee that is not too bad, and that is almost acceptable for me. But for now, I'm not doing that, although I have done it in the past. Compared to WonderDraft, I think that this program is completely superior. Although there are some neat things you can do in WonderDraft, a lot of people will probably disagree with me on this, but although there's a lot of neat things you can do in WonderDraft, there is a lot more customization options here in Otherworld Mapper, and there's also the lines look much more map-like, the continents are much more fractalized, there are much more sort of vector options at your disposal for the symbols and stuff like that. There's just a lot more customization here and a lot more map making features when you compare it to programs like WonderDraft. And also it is much lighter, it requires much less processing on the computer. WonderDraft requires a lot of processing power. Lighter computers and laptops may not be able to run it necessarily, but almost certainly they'll probably be able to run Otherworld Mapper. A lot of times what determines whether or not your computer is going to be able to run with this program is actually the size of your map. So if you make a larger map, it's going to be more difficult for your computer to run with the software, but if you make smaller maps, it's not going to matter. It's kind of nice in that way as well. So compared to Campaign Cartographer, I have mixed feelings about this. Campaign Cartographer 3 offers a lot more customization options when you know how to use it than Otherworld Mapper does. However, Campaign Cartographer 3 has a much less user-friendly interface and a lot more bugs in the system and is a lot harder to master. So for beginners especially, Otherworld Mapper is probably a nicer option. But if you want to get very serious about map making, like very serious, Campaign Cartographer 3 might be a better option, but I can tell you it takes a very long time to even begin to understand a lot of the features in that program. Otherworld Mapper is something you can begin to understand the same afternoon that you purchase the program, so there is that. All right, and maybe I should go over some of the disadvantages as well now. One of the slight disadvantages to Otherworld Mapper is that its symbol set does not look as nice as some of the other major map making software, but this is a relatively easy problem to get around because There are all sorts of other map making assets online that you can either download for free or purchase from various websites. So you can upload your own assets into Otherworld Mapper, and you don't need to rely on their symbol sets necessarily. They do also offer some expansions in the symbol set collections, so there is that as well. That kind of helps beef up their symbols, but compared to map making software like Campaign Cartographer 3 and WonderDraft and Inkarnate, the symbols do not look as nice in my opinion. And then one of the other kind of disadvantages is that the layer system in Otherworld Mapper is not as nice as the layering system in a lot of the other map making software. And I'll get to that in a minute when I start doing the tutorial. But overall, Otherworld Mapper does seem to beat out a lot of the competition. It offers a nice blend of versatility, but also a user-friendly interface, and it is able to be run on a lot of different types of computers and laptops. So without further ado, let me kind of get into the program and how it works. You'll notice as I'm doing the video that when I left click, the cursor will highlight red, and when I right click, it'll highlight blue. Alright, so normally when you start the program, a startup window will appear here and it'll ask you what you want to do. But let's say you closed it by mistake, or there was, I don't know, if you just closed a file and you needed to open a new one, you would just go to File and New. So let's do that. And you'll see here that you have a lot of different options when you make a new map. You can either create an overland map, a dungeon map, or a city map, and you have all of these different settings that you can apply to make the map look different. But let's just go to the default. So you can choose different sizes for your map. There's some different custom settings there. But let's say you wanted to create your own, you could easily do that. And there's this really nice detailed world units to map size converter here. And this is very helpful for things like if you want to get really detailed with the distance between places in your maps and world. So let's just keep everything at the standard default settings and hit OK. Alright, so now you'll notice that this is our map here, or a section of it. This box here allows you to easily move around the map. And you can zoom in or out by holding Control and using the mouse wheel. Alright, if you go to View, Fit to Screen, you can fit the entire map to the screen. And there's various other options here as well. You can zoom to specific percentages. Alright. So now if you want to, you can actually change the background of this map when you start. So let's go to our cursor icon, and you'll see we're on the background now. We can add different textures to the background. We can add background images. We can change the color. No, we probably don't need to change the color. The ocean's probably fine the way it is. Just go here. So you'll check that little box next to where it says texture, and that'll texturize all of the background image. You've got a lot of different options here. Kind of like the way it looks like this. Alright, so we'll leave that the way it is. And then we'll come over here and lay down our first landmass. So this is the landmass tool. You can totally change the way that landmasses will appear, which is really nice. You'll notice that anytime you choose a tool, all the different tool settings will appear there. So let's say, go here, you have different options. If you go here, you have different options. Okay, so let's see how we want to make our landmass look. Let's just leave it as a fractal. Let's make the fractal factor a little bit less since we're zoomed out so much. Make the tension a little bit less as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and create our first. Oh, before we do that, let's go over here to our landmass tool properties as well. You can see you can completely change the way that the landmass is going to look. And change the outline, the shadow, the texture, etc. So maybe we change solid fill, change the color, let's make it a light green. Okay, all right, let's see how that looks. You see you select with the left button to lay down your first point, and then you just continue to lay down points for the landmass until you get the shape that you want. And then if you hover over the point where you started, it'll ask you if you want to finish. You can do that, or you can actually right click and it'll automatically finish the landmass for you. So I went ahead and did that there. I actually don't like that color, so let's click on the landmass and you'll see we can easily modify it. This is way nicer than Campaign Cartographer 3. In Campaign Cartographer 3 you have to select a certain edit tool and then try to somehow grab that little landmass and then edit all the properties in this very strange non-previewable selection box. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not nearly as friendly as this. Here you just click on the landmass, you go to the landmass properties, find the color, click on the color, and you change it to whatever color you want. And there you go. You fixed it. You changed the color to the proper color. Alright, let's say we want to texturize this landmass as well. Nice. Put some lines like that. Change the opacity so that it fades out a little bit. Put it at 40. Excellent. Now let's say that we wanted to save these properties so that we could create more land masses like this later. So you'll notice we're in a section called My Theme right now. There's different themes that you can choose from that have various different preset templates, but we're in one that we've created. So we're going to save this to this theme. So we're going to go over here to this icon, Save Preset for the landmass, and we're going to save it. And we're going to call it Test Landmass. You hit OK. And there we go. Now we have that particular setting for that landmass texturized and colored and shadowed and outlined in every way we want, automatically there to use at any time. So let's go back to our landmass tool and let's create more. And we can zoom in with Control and the mouse wheel. And we'll create another smaller landmass off of the bigger one. Sorry. Let's undo that. You gotta click on the actual preset and then create the landmass. There we go. Once again, hit the right button and it'll automatically fill in the landmass. There we go. Alright, maybe one more bigger continent over here. If you want a continent that is, like if this is not a world map and this is just a regional map, you can click outside of the canvas and then drag the continent into the picture And now we've created a regional map. Just make sure you kind of get the lines right. Don't, in the continent way up here, make sure it's outside the canvas and go all the way to the end. Because of the fractal, it's going to want to stretch up a little bit. But also a kind of convenient feature here, which I'm going to use, if you hold shift and use your mouse wheel, you can actually change the line. So since that other line I had been using was curved way too upwards and kept showing up in the picture, I use shift and the mouse wheel and I adjust it to a line that I want that's curving downward, and then I bring it back down outside of the canvas and just finish doing what I was doing. There we go. Now let's say for some reason that you messed up. Okay, go to the move option, move this continent. Alright, let's say for some reason you messed up and you created your continent like this. Not a problem. Let's go back to that move option. You could also use the edit shape tool here, although it's a little more complicated. So let's use the move option instead because it's easier. Let's click on one of those points and let's just drag it outside of the canvas. And now we get the same effect. Very nice, very easy, very friendly. Unlike a lot of map making software, this is super easy to use, and once you get the hang of it, you'll really love it. Okay, so now let's talk about the layer situation that I was talking about earlier. So unlike a lot of other map making software, this program automatically generates layers and organizes them for you based on what type of entity you are creating in the software. This is somewhat convenient, but it also becomes inconvenient when you are doing things, especially with symbols. So this is your symbol tool here, and these are your symbol options. Let's put some plants down. So let's go to basic vegetation, and we'll change the color. There's various color schema. Let's go to green, and we'll grab this tree. And we want to change the size of the tree. So right now I'm just holding shift and scrolling the mouse wheel, and that changes the size of the tree. And I am also going to want it to scatter. I don't want to place it one by one. I want it to scatter. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to choose one of these options to cause the icon to scatter. This is another one of the really nice features of Otherworld Mapper. So we'll choose that scatter option. You'll see there is different options though. You can tile it, so if you're creating a tile map, this works for that. You can use this other feature called brick, which makes it slightly off but not completely scattered. But anyways, so we choose scatter, and we're just going to hold our left mouse and drag, and you'll see that it automatically creates this sort of scattering effect with the feature. Now we can totally change the scatter effect by going once again to these tool settings. Let's just do something wild, crazy. And you can see our scattering effect is actually different than it is up here. It's created these sort of gaps here inside the tree line. But now let's see what's happened to our layers here. So when we click the plus sign for landmass 7, which is this landmass, we click the plus sign to see all of our features on that landmass. All of our trees are now their own separate category. So if you select the first one, and then you select the bottom one, and let's say you hold shift, you hit the bottom one. Now it's selected all the trees. You can right click and group them so that they are now grouped together, but they're still their own individual trees. This is super not friendly. And then if you want to rename them, you have to go in. Oh no. It does this strange loop thing sometimes when you highlight all of them.
And then it kind of freezes the program. So usually what I mean with the layers, it's not, I need to just select one. Okay, there we go. So when you right click on it, now it's doing it. Crazy. So, I'm going to click outside this. We'll click outside this. Click on the landmass. And now I'm going to, okay, so you can't rename things. when they are grouped together. You
can't
can't
even like individually select them when they are grouped together. That's kind of what that's telling me right now. I now realize. But if you go to ungroup, and let's say now they're ungrouped, and let's say you wanted to rename one of these trees, you would have to go down every single time and rename them all to tree A, tree B, tree C, tree A1, tree A2, tree A. It's just way too much work. You can't rename all those trees. So like you can see that the layering system needs some work, but we will see. But outside of that, it's actually really nice, and it is kind of nice that it groups all this together for you. It's a nice idea, and it is convenient at times. So let's say you wanted to lay down this road tool, and you create this road, which once again you have various options for. And you lay down this road, and then you right click in order to finish it. And you see you've got that nice road there. And you zoom in on it, and it's actually dotted, just like this preset. And now you've got this roads layer. So actually it is really nice. And then you can actually just go into Landmass 7, and if you take off the visibility for roads, every road you've created on Landmass 7 is automatically hidden. And you don't have to ever worry that anything is going to be incorrect. Like you don't ever have to worry that you're going to draw a road on a landmass layer like you can with some programs, because the system just doesn't allow you to do that. It automatically puts all the entities into their correct categories. So in a way, it is kind of nice, and it doesn't allow you to make mistakes as often. But as you saw earlier, in a different way, it is actually not friendly. But we'll see if there aren't some fixes to this. This program is still being developed for sure, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. Outside of the fact that there's just some small issues like that, this is actually a super friendly program. As you saw earlier, you can do all sorts of things with the shapes of the various continents. And if you want to reduce that so that you don't want to have as complex of a shape to edit, you can actually just modify these controls. Like you see, I click this shape control points, and it reduced the number of points so that now, I got to go to this move option, and now you can just move a few points. But if you go back to that and then you go to the move option, you can see you can actually edit all of these points. Super customizable, super friendly. See? And then once again we can go to features. And another thing that I feel like I should mention about this program is when it comes to features, one of the nicer things is when you get a batch of white symbols, white and black symbols, gray tone symbols, anything that isn't grayscale, because then you can take the symbol and then you can colorize it. So come back up here. We'll hit the check mark for colorize, and we're gonna change it to whatever color we want, basically. And now we have that same tree. Well, let's choose the exact same tree. Now let's make it some funky color. Let's say you were creating an alien planet and you wanted it to be a purple tree. Now you just come over here and you've got purple trees. And once again we have that same scattering effect. And you can further modify the color by choosing a different sort of layer setting. So you can see there's just so many options here. It's super nice. And I'm really excited to see where this program goes in the future. And I can tell you that the creators on Twitter are super friendly and interactive. So yeah, just a big shout out to them, a big thank you, and I hope all of you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to possibly purchase this program, because I think it definitely deserves some more attention. And let me know what you thought of the video. If you have any more questions or want to see more tutorials, definitely let me know, and I'll try to get those out. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.